back to AM Live. Now, tomorrow is another new year and the opportunity to do better than you did the year before. As you make your resolutions for 2013, pause and reflect on where you were a year ago and where you are today. So, how has 2012 been for you? Listen to what some of you had to say.
Very fulfilled year, yeah, in terms of career, yeah, did manage to achieve a lot of things.
Good, very good.
Why?
Just enjoying life, having a great relationship and steady job, and just happy with what I got.
2012 has been good. I mean, just like any other years. I had a baby, you know, not now in 2012, but in late 2011. So we are really happy to have the third child.
Very challenging, I'd say, yeah, because it's changing economic times.
Good, fantastic, except for all the strikes that happened recently.
It's been a really exciting year. Started a new job with a new organization that just came into Singapore.
Well, good, bad, or challenging, come New Year, we all want to start on a fresh note and we make resolutions to keep. But for many, it's difficult to keep those resolutions. So to give you a head start, we've got Celestine Chua with us today. Celestine is a life coach and founder of Personal Excellence, an online platform on personal development. Good morning to you, Celestine. Good to see you again.
Likewise. Thanks for having me back on the show, Suzanne.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great topic to talk about, and I think, you know, you will have many tips that you can share with us. New Year resolutions. Some people say it's not worth keeping it anymore. What would you say to that?
Well, I definitely think that having New Year resolutions give us so much clarity on what we want to get out of the year. So there's definitely merit in setting resolutions because it tells us, hey, what do we want to get out of the new year, 2013, and what can we do to achieve them?
But what's the point when all of us, you know, we're so excited about making New Year resolutions and then a week later or a month later, you just forget about it?
Well, I think the reason why that happens is really because of lack of planning. And I see the plan as the bridge that takes us from where we are right now to where we want to be. So planning is a critical step. And for most people, what happens is that when they set their New Year resolutions at the start of the year, they are so pumped to action. First week, second week, there's no problems taking action. But what happens or what leads them to fail later on is the lack of a plan. So when we fail to plan, we plan to fail.
Good point. Well, give me an example then. What sort of plans would you come up for certain resolutions that you've made for yourself?
Sure. So let's say a very, very common resolution is to lose weight for many people. And so someone can say have a resolution to lose 20 kg by the end of the year. So we can set a plan by this 4-step framework that I recommend. The first thing is to prioritize. So if we have 4 or 5 goals, then prioritize, and your number one goal may be to lose weight. The second step would then be to set milestones. So 20 kg by the end of the year. Now that may seem like a very big chunk goal, but if we break it down, we can have a goal of a milestone of say lose 2 kg by January. Now that's a lot more achievable. And break it down even further. With 4 weeks, maybe lose 500 grams by the end of the first week.
Right.
The third step would then be to set action steps. So if we want to lose 500 grams by the end of the first week, what do we need to do? Maybe exercise 3 times a week. Maybe consume X number of calories every day. The fourth step would be the review. So let's say a review session of Friday 10 p.m. every week. I should review, have I been on track, off track? What actions have been helping me to be on track and what actions have not been? And then set the new action steps for next week.
So it's really a commitment, isn't it? Because a lot of us will just, you know, make a statement, okay, this is my resolution, and then we just forget about it. But what you're saying is you really have to sit down and commit maybe half an hour to coming up with a baby step program, plan on how you want to achieve it.
Exactly.
So make that, I suppose, a list of things you need to do to make that one resolution come true. But what about the number of resolutions? Would you advise people to make as many as they can or just focus on the top few that you want?
Well, I think when in the process of setting resolutions, we can go all out and set number of resolutions, 9 or 10, but then that's where prioritization will be very important. So after dreaming and visualizing and having those 9, 10 resolutions, we should then focus, okay, what are my top 3 resolutions? Maybe the first is to lose weight. Maybe the second would be to set a business. And perhaps the third step would be to publish that novel. And that would then tell us that, okay, for the first goal, we should allocate a disproportionate amount of energy to realizing that, and so on and so forth.
You know what, but you can have a perfect plan, but if you lose the motivation and willpower, it just goes down the drain. So how do you keep yourself motivated? I'm sure you've had times when you feel like, oh, I don't want to do this, away with my resolutions. So how do you keep yourself on track?
Well, I think for those cases, setting some small goals or small resolutions to just get the momentum going will help. So instead of something like lose 20 kg by the end of the year, which may seem a little bit intimidating to some people, something simple like, say, exercise on Tuesdays and Fridays every week.
Something more specific, you mean?
Exactly, and even small and more achievable, so it may seem simpler and not so intimidating. And the second recommendation that I would have is to focus on making the goals more empowering rather than disempowering. So for some people, a goal of, say, jog for 2 hours every day, wow, that sounds like it's a punishing goal altogether.
Right.
But if we have something simple like, or empowering, say, join that Pilates class for 3 times a week, that's a lot more fun.
That's true. What about some tricks? I mean, what I would do is I would publicly announce what I want to achieve, and then that forces me to at least keep to my word, because there are other people, watchdogs watching you if you're keeping your resolutions. Is that a way that you would approach, or are there other tips that you can offer?
I guess some people would it depends on the person. Some people like to share their goals publicly because they feel like having people remind them helps. Some people prefer to sort of keep their goals to themselves. I say it depends from person to person, but one thing I would definitely recommend is be choiceful in who you choose to share your goals with, in that you don't want to be sharing your goals with naysayers or negative people, because they are going to get you down and drain your energy. You want to be sharing them with positive people who are going to encourage you in your goals.
Most of the time, your family.
Definitely, and your close friends and your loved ones.
And you write it down, don't you? You write it down and you look at the list over and over again every week, and that helps.
Definitely. I always feel like with our goals, they're always created twice. First in the mind and the second time in the reality. And the whole process of writing down our goals is just one step towards materializing our goals. And not only that, when we write down our goals, it's sort of like a commitment to ourselves that, hey, these are our goals and what can we do to realize them?
So you've already given us some tips in making New Year resolutions. So what are your resolutions?
Well, my personal resolutions, one of them is to set my online video channel to inspire others to grow. Another would be to travel around the world. I've already been to Asia, Europe and US, and next would be South America, India and South Africa.
And how do you plan to achieve them?
Well, via the 4-step framework I was saying just now, definitely a lot of planning and action step taking and reviewing.
Okay, so hopefully you will achieve it by the end of the year.
Definitely.
We'll check in with you again. Thank you, Celestine, for that.
Thank you so much, Suzanne.
Celestine Chua, their life coach, sharing tips on making and keeping your New Year resolutions. Now, Celestine is also the founder of Personal Excellence, an online platform on personal development. So make your New Year resolutions today. After all, it's the last day of 2012, and pick up those tips so that you can stick to them.